and you're really staying grounded and true to yourself. Not only were you a radio announcer and you do these big events and you're a DCO, but you're also a mother, a child, a volunteer, a member of your indigenous community, a member of your church, and you really have your own personal aspirations outside of work itself, right? And I think having that balanced lifestyle is super important. Do you have anything personally you want to share to us, knowing our demographic will be people that have similar paths that you've taken? And do you have any advice?
And it will be a personal story rather than a professional story. And it will have to do with when I was quite young, 2 full decades ago, and I was, where was I going to go? What was I going to do? What will my life look like in 20 years? I didn't have any of those answers. But what I did is find myself pregnant, not married, not earning a lot, but pregnant. And I was scared out of the world. My parents were strict. They were educators. And so I had that moment where I was saying, no, I don't think I want this child. And I actually, at that time, he was my boyfriend, and I said, let's not do this. Nobody would have to know that we did this and this is happening. And we actually went to a health institution, and we paid to have the pregnancy terminated. And I'm sitting there alone in a gong then, and I'm thinking, well, my religion is telling me I shouldn't do this. I'm doing this because I'm a coward. I'm doing this because I'm afraid of my parents. I'm afraid that I wouldn't know what to do. And having paid for this termination, I just backed out. I literally just looked for my clothes, I put it back on, I ran down. There was a stairway at the institution, and I like literally ran into my now husband. And he said, I'm coming upstairs to tell you, let's not do this anymore. We will figure it out. We will get this. And she knows this. I mean, my daughter knows this about, later on in her life, I shared it, but she was more mature to deal with it, obviously. And then when you have big issues to talk about, like alternative lifestyles and abortion and so on, and tricky and sensitive topics, but I'm saying I use that to say to her and to say to others who would have me, and to say to your listeners and viewers and anybody who's watching us, that I took a decision because I was scared, because obviously I was overwhelmed with fear. But that daughter and my other child have transformed my life. They have literally, I think, when persons ask me, how are you managing motherhood? How are you growing your children up? I said, I think they are growing me up. They turn me into a better human being. I know every motherhood story is not the same. And I don't think I'm unique in that story that I shared with you there. But I'm saying that to say that if we allow fear and the unknown to paralyze us, and every day we encounter this at work, at home, in a relationship, but we're just too afraid to take that step. And as I said, it's a personal story. I am grateful. I remain grateful to this day that I didn't go ahead with that termination, because my daughter is 3 times better than I ever will be. She is brilliant. She is a wonderful human being. Like, I never liked animals, and she loves animals. And I have loved animals because of her. So I'm saying that to say that personally, don't be afraid, or be afraid, but don't let it paralyze you into doing something right and good for you. Obviously, if a termination works out right for you, then I'm not, from a religious point of view, my persuasion will say no. But then I do not know your circumstances. But for me, I share that to say that I'm so happy that I had that, I took that decision, both my boyfriend and I then, and our lives changed for the better. Professionally now, as somebody who's been in broadcasting for 2 decades, and somebody who has risen to the top of the broadcasting chain, so to speak. Really, there's nowhere else to go, except if I go and become a policy maker out there, and then I give policy direction to the field of broadcasting. But professionally, I would just say that if we're working in Guyana, then you've got to love this country. You've got to know this country. You cannot live in one space and know the entire country. So you have to invest in travel or wherever your viewers are in the world, Akil, that you are representing more than a singular space. You have to know geography. You have to know the history of the people that you're serving. You've got to be aware of the issues of the day. And there's so many issues. Our world is a broken place. And that's the reality. And we've got to always be mindful whether we are contributing to making the world a better place or we are helping to fracture it more.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing that. It was really good insight. And I really like that you pointed out a lot of our work is service and helping uplift other people.